This is the Lobo Pod with the voice of the Lobos, Robert Portnoy.
Hello, Lobo fans, and welcome into another edition of your Lobo Pod. It's presented by Green Summit Landscape Management. We turn to the gridiron, and we have a Lobo legend and a Super Bowl champion. Robin Cole is with us. How you doing, Robin? It's
Fantastic,
great to be with you.
Rob. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What does it feel like when you get back to Albuquerque?
Oh, it feels like it's the first time again. The very first time I came to Albuquerque, when I got off that airplane and took a look at the landscape of this facility, in this place, it was just, it stole my heart. It was the last college I visited. It was the 11th college that I visited. I went overseas to Hawaii. Now, who wouldn't go to Hawaii? Or UCLA or Stanford, okay? But University of New Mexico was the last school I visited. It was just some things in the way that I was thinking, my thought pattern back in the day at 17 years old, okay, that I thought that this place would be a place that I could relax and really think about my future as a young man. And not have a lot of distractions around me. And so the spirit of this place is the thing that grabbed me, and this is why I chose the University of New Mexico. University of New Mexico did not have my major back then. They did not have a criminology major. I did not ask them because every college I visited prior to that had a criminology major. I get here, we're in 2 days camp, last day of 2 days, now it's time for us to go get our classes. I go sign up for my classes. I get asked, what are you going to major in? I said, criminology. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that major. And from that point on, I'm backpedaling. Okay, what do I do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? This is what I want to do, but this is it. So I ended up, being almost like a liberal arts type of the degree in the beginning. Then I had an opportunity my junior year to start taking business classes, and I ended up getting my business degree after I left the university.
Well, you touched on it a little bit, but I did want to follow up because, you're from L.A. How does a kid from Compton ultimately decide, with all the options you had, to come to Albuquerque?
Yeah, well, being from Los Angeles, it was crowded everywhere. Okay. Number one, it was crowded in my home. So the crowd just kept growing, once I got outside my home. I tell you the truth. I had 7 brothers and 2 sisters. It was 10 of us. My mom and dad and my grandmother also, when I was young, lived at our home. Okay. Little 3-bedroom settle for. You know what one of those are. Not like a Tudor or colonial, or it's the one that my dad and mom just settled for. Okay, it sits right between all these other settle fors. I mean, it was just right there, right? Alondra and Central, right there where the airport is. Everybody knows where the airport is when you go to Compton, and it just sat right there. And but just being in the middle, being the 7th child, so you're always in the middle. You're always learning what's going on from your parents, and then from your older brothers and sisters, and you're always watching your younger brothers and sisters, or younger brothers. I had 3 brothers that were younger than I was, and babysitting and taking care of those at the same time. So you're always in between. I just wanted my own bed. That's all. I never wanted my own bed. I'll tell you the truth, man. I mean, we just, it was 8 of us in one room. You got 3 Stooges beds. We got a set of 3 beds over on this side, bunk beds over here, 2 bunk beds over here, and another bed right in the middle. I mean, and that bed in the middle, we alternated sleeping together. In fact, I didn't start sleeping alone until I got married. I mean, it was just one of those times.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to remember that settle for, the one you settle for.
That's the way it was,
that's
brother.
Terrific.
And so, getting out of California was, it was a thing that we were supposed to do. I watched my older brothers and their friends and their conversations, because I used to sit there and listen to what they were talking about and going to school. Nobody was talking about going to college until my generation started coming around. The back end of the baby boomers, or right in the middle of the baby boomers, we started talking about college, and I wasn't the one who was talking about college. I had 2 brothers, really four brothers older than me, and my oldest brother graduated and went to the Marines. My next brother graduated and went to the Marines, and they had a plan. The older brothers had a plan. Okay, we were going to all join the Marines. We first was going to do 4 years, 3 years, and then 2 years, and then we're going to come out and we're going to start our own business in the meat packing or meat cutting business, because there were meat cutters before they left. So the back end of us, which were a separation of about 6 years, okay, my generation, by being out playing baseball and what we were doing, some of them had older brothers and sisters that had gone to college. And the conversation started to become, What college are you going to go to? Okay. And then I used to sit and just listen to my guys and say, wow, man, these guys are getting ready to go to college. What am I going to do? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to join the Marines, join the Army. It's during the end of the Vietnam War. All three of my brothers spent time in the Vietnam War. So there I was, wait, what's going to happen here? And when I decided that, well, college, we got to college. Well, what do I have to do to go to college? And I started to think about it and say, well, the first thing I have to do is have to be able to go to college. So I better work on my grade point average. And I started right there in the middle school at the end of the 8th grade, working on my grade point average. And from there on, because then the 9th grade was the next year, and just kept working on my grade point average. Now I have to prepare myself in case I get the opportunity to go. Now, the only way I'm going to go to college is to get a scholarship, because my mom and dad didn't have any money. If they had money, they would have sent the other 5 before me, or the other 6 before me. So that was kind of, I started the plan. Now, I don't remember this all the time. It's just funny, though. When I get in front of somebody and start talking about this, I remember a whole lot of things. But, that's kind of the route was taken. And so that as we grew up, as we become, getting a little older, and I was playing baseball at the time, and then we start playing football, and I kind of latched on to football. My brother Eddie played football. He's a great football player. But his junior year, he started having heart murmurs. He had heart problems. And unlike the processes today that we can shock your heart and keep it from the abnormal heart beating, which my daughter had to have, that wasn't available back in the day, in the 60s when my brother's coming around. So he couldn't play football anymore. And so when I came along, he was promoting me. Hey, keep playing, and hey, you may be able to get a scholarship or something like that. And that's when I started to focus on getting a scholarship. And
well, I wanted to ask what it means to you now to come back to the university where you're a star and be a member of the Ring of Honor.
Oh, this is big. It really is. It's something that really touches my heart, to be remembered as not only a football player, but being remembered as a person. That part that I was shared by a guy that used to run a facility across the street here. His name was John Stalecki. John Stalecki used to run back when it was the Albuquerque Dukes, the restaurant in there. He took over that restaurant. It was a restaurant called Enrico's. That was his restaurant. Him and his wife's restaurant back at the Polly. That was her name. And I met him my sophomore year. But he used to sit there and talk to me about how special this place was, okay, and he just shared. He began to teach me how to talk to people and meet people. Put your hand out and shake the hand. He really kind of took me under his wing, and I enjoyed learning from this guy. And he's now passed, but I enjoyed really learning from him, and he's kind of began to open the doors for me and help me understand that what being a part of this community was. And it's not a day go past because we do this. We think about our universities. When everybody else is thinking about the university, I'm always around guys. Oh, I'm Florida State and we did this. Well, I'm UCLA and we did this. I'm SC and we did this. And here we are, the University of New Mexico. Here we are, man. How can we become a part as people that have gone to this university? Because it's the pride about this university that we have. Because we made a choice to do that. And by coming here, my choice was hopefully one day we can be a rising star like a lot of these other universities had been over the years. How can we go about being a part of that? How can we go about bringing more people to become a part of that? And just that, I still have in my heart that maybe one day that can happen. Okay, that's how proud I am about receiving this honor of coming here and being attached to the University of New Mexico for the rest of my days and maybe beyond.
You're the 7th, and a former teammate, the late, great Mike Williams, is up there. What does it mean to you to have your name next to his?
Oh, shucks, I recruited Mike. All those guys I recruited. Okay, I recruited Michael Cooper.
I believe it.
What happened to me? But just talking about Williams to be a part of these guys. Okay, these guys that when I was here, we didn't have any at that time. When I talk about Michael Cooper, we only had a few guys that could drive guys around and show guys the town, and then had a story that would connect. I just felt I had a story that would connect with anybody because I come from nothing. I didn't have anything. I say come from nothing. We live, but I didn't come from some of the resources that some of these other people may have came from. Okay, I came here with no $5 in my pocket, and I get a scholarship, and I hope they're gonna feed me. And that's the way it was, and it gave me a bed. Okay, and I mean that for me that's all I was looking for. I wasn't looking for any additional stuff. I wasn't looking for somebody to help me out. I wasn't looking for somebody to get somebody. Back in those days, you get in trouble if you would accept something from somebody. I wasn't looking to accept anything from anybody that didn't belong to me, or something that would get myself in trouble, or even them. I was just the opportunity of it all, and just being a part of Mike. I played with Mike. I remember when he first came in, he was supposed to be a tight end first. And he wasn't sure what position he wanted to play. Well, I'm going to be a running back. I said, Mike, you can't be a running back. Your stride is too long. Your long legs. I don't know if that worked. But hey, you think you can do it? Go for it. Okay. And I just watched him develop into an athlete like himself, to be a running back and do what he did, and then he spent some time with Kansas City, the Chiefs, and as a pro. It was phenomenal.
As a Lobo, you were a linebacker and a D lineman, but people might not know that you also played a little tight end and even did some deep snapping. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. I did all that. I played tight end on the offense, short yardage, long snapped, edge rushing. We call it edge rusher now. Okay, that's what I was. I was an edge rusher. I was an edge rusher. I could play the defensive end at a down position. I can play it up position. I never had the opportunity to play my football game. I went to the pros and played 12 years. I never had the opportunity to play my football game. Because Chuck Noll didn't need me to be the player I was. He knew I was, you're the top outside linebacker as far as I'm concerned. We consider you the top outside linebacker coming out of the draft, but we don't need you to do these things. And then LT came into the league. And I remember sitting down, the coach said, talking to my linebacker coach and the defensive coordinator, and I said, man, that is the game that I play. Okay. Yeah. I said, and still, the sack number that I had, it said 17 sacks. It was 21. we used to count them all the time.
For the University
I
of
know
Mexico.
that. I saw that.
And you know what?
And you know what the coach said, because we would all count on. Defensive linemen. All the guys know, okay, because we all counted them. I remember Andy Frederick said, "Didn't you have more sacks than that?" I said, "Yeah, Andy." He said, "Well, what happened?" I said, "Well, we weren't tracking sacks back then." Yeah. And I said, Dale White, our defensive coordinator, I went in to him. I said, "Man, where did they get these numbers from? These numbers aren't correct." He said, "Don't worry about it. You're going to the pros." And now today, I'm saying, now I'm ready to pull out all the film so we can count them, so we can, so we can count every one of those sacks that were there. So
it
we get
wasn't
the
even
number
an
right.
official stat in the NFL until the 80s.
That's exactly right.
So there's a new college football video game that just came out, College Football 25.
Uh-huh.
You are in there as New Mexico's record holder for single season sacks. So
Wow.
that's for all time, right? So when the kids pull up that video game, Robin Cole's in there.
Oh, I would love to see that video game.
Gosh, so many different things I want to ask you about. One of your teammates at the University of New Mexico was a pretty darn good wide receiver named Preston Denard.
Oh, shoot. That's my brother. They're all my brothers.
You guys got to line up across from each other in Super Bowl 14.
Oh, he embarrasses me all the time. We talk about that.
Tell us about that.
Oh, man, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. But prior to that, Andy Frederick and I played against one another. A lot of people don't remember that. Andy Frederick was an offensive lineman, backup offensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys. And he played in the first Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 13.
That's exactly right. He played 13, but Dallas won Super Bowl 12 the year before.
Over Denver.
That's exactly right. They beat Denver. Okay. And he was in that one. Okay. And then the next year, then both of us were in the Super Bowl, 2 guys from the University of New Mexico. Okay. We ended up with a ring. He ended up with a second ring. Okay. And then several years later, about 6, 7 years down the road, he ended up in Chicago Bears and ended up with another Super Bowl ring. So Andy Frederick has a couple of rings himself. Okay. That we don't talk about often. And it's good to maybe share that a little bit. But there we were in the Super Bowl, and we're out for warm-ups. Okay. And I can't wait to see Preston. But, our coaches, and the way it was back in our day, you didn't talk to the other players. Okay. Now everybody can kiss one another after the game, pray together, and do things. Even Chuck Noll, we couldn't shake somebody's hand after the game. Get in the locker room. We have to go in the locker room, sit down, and have a prayer, and then he starts talking. Okay, like we're not going to be humans for a very long time or something. I didn't understand the mentality of some of these guys, the way they thought. Okay, back then, you can be all those kind of ways that you are, but you can also let other people be the way that they are at the same time. We'll play it by the rules, but brother, let us say hi to one another. Golly, what are you doing? But so it was one of those things. So he had you, all wrapped up, and I'm all revved up before the game because that's the way I was anyway. And so now it's time for us to go out to warm up. So we run out the field. Preston's waiting on me to come out so he can see me, so he could give me a high five. So here I am coming up the field, and when we hit the field, and we're running out, I didn't even think about him being out there already. And we're coming, the linebackers are coming in a line. We're coming in a line, and Preston's noticed me. And now I noticed Preston. And Preston put his hand up for a high five. I ran by him and just kept going.
Because you didn't want anybody to see it.
Right. The thinking that sometimes, maybe you throw the game, you may do something because you know this guy, you won't hit him hard or something like that. but that's the way the thinking was. And Preston laughs about it. He said, man, I was hurt when you came by. He didn't give me a hug or anything. And I still today apologize to him.
Well, you had your marching orders, though.
I had my marching orders. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
And my marching orders were strong anyway because I had gone through a thing where I stepped on the coach's toes, I think. Okay. And an interview that first year. In fact, they ran the interview 3 years ago. They ran the whole interview, a full page in the Pittsburgh Press. They reran that interview that I did before I became a Pittsburgh Steeler. In the interview that I did is draft day. I get drafted. Okay. I get a telephone call 10 minutes to right in the dormitory. I live right in student marriage housing over here. I get a telephone call at 10 minutes to 10. The coach is Woody Woodenhofer, the linebacker coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He says, Rob McCall, I'm Woody Woodenhofer, linebacker for Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. And our draft is coming up in about 10 minutes. He said, I want to ask you a question. Will you play for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I said, what? Yeah, I'll play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll play for anybody. Okay. So after the draft, then he came up, and I have a cassette tape of that. I need to put that on something where we can go back and just in case I forgot, and I'm saying something that's not right. Remember what I said, and I said it, but we have it. And so he says, stay on the telephone. I'm going to connect you to Pittsburgh. And our press has in the press room, and they're going to ask you some questions. So I stayed on the phone. And he connected me after the draft, and I'm listening to him and said, the Pittsburgh Steelers 21st pick this year is the linebacker Robin Cole. We all great. Great. So now I'm connected and I'm talking to the press, and so I'm in a room. I'm excited. Okay, just like today, like you guys, a guy walk off the football field. We didn't do that back in the day. You walk off the football field, you're excited about something, especially if you won a game. You'll say some things that sometimes are fun, and if you have a personality, you have a personality. It's just the way it is. Yeah. Okay, it's like prime. When you got it, you got it. Yeah. Some people don't have it. Some people can't speak and communicate the way that some other people can. So I had some fun with it. These guys started asking me fun questions, so I started having some fun with it. And what happened was a guy by the name of Myron Cope. Now, I didn't know who Myron Cope was then. He gets on the phone, maybe 20-something minutes into, because I was running my mouth, 20 minutes into the interview. He says, Hi, I'm Myron Cope. And he says, Robin Cole, you're from California. And you're talking about all these other teams. You mean to tell me that you didn't have a team in California that you liked? I said, oh, yeah. And I start off first because I'm thinking as he's speaking to me. I said, well, I'm from Los Angeles. But the Los Angeles Rams was a team that we didn't see them very often because the games were always blacked out because they never filled the Coliseum.
Yep.
So we didn't get a chance to see them. But the games were on in place of their games a lot of times were the Oakland Raiders or San Francisco or San Diego. And I said, man, and I love the Oakland Raiders. That was about but now I already talked about other players. Now this is 1977. You know what's going on in 1977?
Oh yeah. The Raiders and the Steelers rivalry at that time was off the chain.
Chuck was in court with Al Davis about the criminal element. And I get drafted. So now I get drafted. So I'm talking about the Raiders. I like the way the Raiders play. They're tough, aggressive. I said, just like they play like the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they're in court talking about arguing between one another. So what team is dirtier? And I'm talking about, the Oakland Raiders and they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like those guys, they want to do all that kind of. And so the press had fun with that.
My goodness.
And they wrote this stuff up that when I got there and I finally I didn't finish 20 years. It took me 20 years to finish reading the whole clip. Coach that I coached with later on, and Bad Rad's passed away since then because I coached with him at Robert Morris College, along with Joe Walton later on in life in the 90s.
I think Myron Cope set you up. I think the Steelers broadcaster set you up for that.
I get to in the newspaper. You know what the headlines were? Atkinson Tatum Cole's heroes.
Oh my goodness!
You can pull that up. You can pull that up. They reran it. Ran it. I said,
"Well, your
this is
first
the 45th year."
The Raiders won the Super Bowl, right? The first year in your league, 77. That 77 season.
They won. They won the Super Bowl. Yeah. Well, no, the Raiders. The 77 is when Dallas won. The 76 is when the Raiders won.
Got it flipped. Very good.
Yeah. 76 is when the Raiders won. And so I walk into this is what happened to me. I know nothing about the clipping. I know nothing about the writings. I'm out here in Mexico. We might as well be in China. I don't know what's going on here in the world other than what's going on here with the family and the draft is going on. So I get to Pittsburgh. Get off the plane, take the taxi to the Pittsburgh Steelers office. Walk through the front door, Pittsburgh Steelers office. There's a big mural there on the wall. Goal line, Pittsburgh Steelers against the Oakland Raiders. Receptionist sitting at a table, sit all the way down in the back. I walked up to her. First, I'm looking around at everything, how the office was, the entryway of the lobby area. I walk up to her, I stick my hand out to shake her hand. I said, "Hi, I'm Robin Cole." And she started to reach for my hand. She pulled her hand back. She said, "Oh, you that guy that's doing all that talking."
Oh, my goodness. You were a legend before you even walked into the building. Oh, man.
I said, "Wait a minute, ma'am. What is going on here?" I said, "Hey, what doing all that talking? I haven't talked to anybody. I just got off the plane. I haven't talked to anybody since I've been here. You're the first person I'm really talking to." She said, "Oh, no, but you didn't read the newspaper?" Huh? I said, "No, I haven't read any newspaper. I don't recall her interviewing with anybody until I thought about that interview we did. I said, "Oh, we talking about that? Okay, well," she said, "Oh, I'll find the newspaper for you. Have a seat. I'll talk."
That's when you saw the headline.
Tell you the coach. I didn't see the headline. She was fumbling around, did some other things. She had me sit down, and she said, "The coach is ready now." So I stand up to go back. She's going to walk me to Chuck Noll. So I'm on my way walking to Chuck Noll. And when she stopped and grabbed a paper off her desk because she found the paper, stuck the paper under my arm like this. She just took the paper, stuck the newspaper. So I got the newspaper in my arm. Now I'm meeting Chuck Noll. I got a newspaper in my arm and I got something else I'm carrying. I shake his hand. "Hi, coach, blah, 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 blah." Walks in his office and he walked around. His face changed. He sits down. I sit down. He said, "Robin, let me tell you something. Those people aren't your friends." And I'm like, "Why?" I'm looking around. I'm saying, "Why are you people Do you guys think I was here before? I said, this is the first time I hear. What people are you talking about? What are those people? Who are you talking about? I said, I just got off the plane. What are you guys talking about here? Okay. So it's the newspaper. So he's talking about depressed people. Weren't my friends. It took me a while to get it together. What are you talking about, Coach? And so I just left it alone. Then I get to the room to go read the paper. And it says, I'll be God.
Yep.
What in the world? And Chuck had he had a stick somewhere about me the whole time. Took him 12 years to get rid of me, though. I made sure it took him 12 years to get rid of me. Okay. I said, you think, I said, I'm going to prove to you. I said, I'm probably the most loyal guy. I don't care who you have on your team. Okay. I would do anything for you. And that's what I did, and I proved that the whole time. I mean, even the time he cut me, he wasn't sure if he was going to cut me then when he cut me, but it was in the way he did it. But he just seemed like he had something in. Because the Super Bowl, I was a starter in Super Bowl 13. Okay, I walked into after we warmed up in Super Bowl 13. After we warmed up, and went back out we warmed up, and this is a story because I was talking to John Stallworth about it. He said, "Robin, I didn't know that." We were just talking the day before yesterday. We warmed up. We came in, and then linebacker coach said, "Robin, can I talk to you for a minute?" Right before we go, 5 minutes before we go out in the game. He said, "We're going to start Lauren Taves instead of you." Now this young man is sitting on the sideline and wondering, what did I do? And it was all because of that.
Oh my goodness!
He so every once in a while he carried that with him.
Interesting.
When he looked at me, he just couldn't figure it out. He used to talk about something that I used to think he was talking about talking to the other guys. Because when I got to Pittsburgh, John Selecki said, when you get to Pittsburgh, get involved in a charity and start helping the people in the community. Yeah. Okay, that's how you're going to get to know people. So when I got there, I looked around and see what I could do. In the March of Dimes, it was something that came available, and I said, okay, I'll kind of help with the March of Dimes. And I ended up becoming the campaign chairperson for the March of Dimes. So I was out there doing a lot of things after work and stuff like that. And Coach No used to say in our rooms, because a lot of guys were working in the off season anyway. We're only getting paid. I mean, golly, the bonus was you can buy a cup of milk and a honey bun. That was the kind of money we were getting paid. We were getting paid these dollars today, not even near that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way it was.
So let me ask you this. One of the great wins that you had when you were with the Lobos was the 75 season. I would say of the 4 years that you were with UNM, that was the best team. You beat Arizona when it was ranked 13th in the country on the road. What are your memories of that game?
We lost. The memories of that game, golly, jeez. We were just able to shut them down. They ran the we call it a little different now. We kind of the option. Everybody was running the option back then. Yeah. Kind of. Wyoming was running the option. The only team that wasn't running the team that was running the true pro was the Arizona State. So everybody else had a lot of gimmicks going on, and I remember being able to just shut it down. I mean, the fullback would come out, bam, I hit this fullback. Oh, you don't have the ball. I would slide down the line of scrimmage. I've never penetrated. Guys today, I see guys they're just not being coached properly on plays. When the play is coming at you, you don't try to penetrate towards the play because they're playing hand games with you. Stay where you are and just slide down the line of scrimmage and force them to make the move. Okay? Don't go cross and get up. I see guys get turned all the way around, twisted, and the quarterback runs right past them. Okay? And then they would toss the ball to the running back, and I would tackle all three of them. I tackled all three of them in one play. Wherever that ball was, we were there. And but I tell you what, that was back when also we had Steve Myers was quarterback. We lost. What did we do? I think we lost 5 or 6 games by a total of 7 to 11 points.
It's a lot of close games.
We had a lot of close games. We were right there. It just decisions that are being made that just are not smart decisions. And I'm not saying that all coaches aren't smart. It's just decision-making time. Okay? Some people can make decisions, and some people are just not real decision-makers, and we think that they are. And the signs of that was the Philadelphia game last Monday night.
That was quite a
Against the
decision.
Falcons. Okay. What do you do? You got the ball in
Yeah.
the hands. Now you don't want to give the ball back to anybody that can move the ball, and especially a veteran quarterback. You don't give the
Right.
ball back to him if even have 2 minutes left, a minute and a half. He can. Normally most defenses, you know what we call them when we got the ball, we're ahead and the game's getting close to the ending, and we say, well, what we're going to do is we're going to put our best defense in. What's our best defense? Prevent. Well, wait a minute. We've been stopping them all game long with this defense here, and now we're going to run prevent. You're going to take a lineman out, or you're going to take a linebacker out and bring another secondary guy in, whether we know whether he can tackle or not. We're going to bring him in, and we're going to just play off, and we're going to let them catch the ball in front of us, and then as long as we don't let him get to the goal line, and it's the fastest way to get to the goal line is playing against a prevent defense.
Oh.
It's brutal, and it happened with us. And it happened, when I played with Pittsburgh. It happened when we played in New Mexico sometimes, and it still happens today.
No, it certainly prevented them from winning that game. Yeah.
That's all it does.
You are a prostate cancer survivor.
Mm-hmm.
My father survived prostate cancer, lived
God
all the
bless.
way to 87. I know it's something that was in your family.
Yeah, very strong.
And you still work very hard in that area in terms of prostate cancer awareness. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that saved my life was early detection. When it comes to any type of cancer, we know early detection would save your life. My father passed away because of prostate cancer. Now, earlier on, we didn't know he had prostate cancer. I knew this. I didn't understand what the symptoms were, but I knew he had the. Once I got older and understood the symptoms, he had the symptoms. They were there all the time, in front of us. And he was at the age of 42. Ended up having surgery at the age of 40. Ended up having surgery at the age of 45. And the surgery that he had, it wasn't because of the prostate. It had already metastasized. It was his lungs.
Mm.
Never took his prostate out. Part of his lung had cancer, and they took part of his lung out. So they went and then took part of his lung out, and he lived to be 49 years old. So and just learning that, and now as the years progressed, and now my brothers. One of my older brothers, my second to the oldest brother, ended up with prostate cancer. And with that, and I began to understand and start to follow it, say, this is something that's hereditary. And we don't know. It's pick and choose. I have 7 brothers. And so I became, right then, I started become not an advocate of it at the time, but then to watch out and be aware. Okay. And then my second brother ended up with prostate cancer, and both of them had symptoms. Then my third brother ended up with prostate cancer. Okay, and then my youngest brother, that was 6 years younger than me, he ended up with prostate cancer the year before I did. That was in 2003, and then in 2004, my PSA rose from 1 to 2. Very low PSA. Now, a lot of doctors say, oh, well, you got low PSA, you're okay, don't worry about this, and I don't worry about that. But I kind of share the difference. My PSA was 2. I went to my doctor, and my doctor was a guy that kept up with things. He said, you have family history. I don't know if it's anything, but your PSA went from 1 to 2 this year. I'm going to involve a urologist, and I want you to go to the urologist, and I want him to begin to track this. So I went to the urologist, and I knew the doctor because back then my wife was a nurse at the hospital, so I knew some of these guys. And so I went to him, and he says, we did another physical examination. He looked at the blood test. He says, well, I don't think anything is really going on, Robin. He said, why don't we do this? Why don't we do we'll do it like almost like a watch and learn. And what they do is to just, we'll watch it for 6 months, do another blood test. We'll watch it for 6 months and see how it's increasing, or if it's going to increase. And I looked at him and I said, Doc, you know about the family history that I have. Okay, my father was 49 years old when he passed away. I have 2 brothers now. Now at the time, 3 brothers with prostate cancer. And they had major surgery. How do I know for sure? And he said, Robin, we could do a biopsy. And so we did a biopsy. Okay. And he said, well, I don't really think there's anything going on. He said, go over and talk it over to her. I said, no, we talked enough. I'll make this decision. And so we did the biopsy. Biopsy came back 25% cancerous. The Gleason score was already 8. It was very aggressive cancer. Okay. Now, for me to play around with this for 2 or 3 years, okay, wait for something to swell up or something like that. I didn't have any swelling, but the cancer was already there. We elected to have the surgery. I had the laparoscopic prostatectomy. I went down to Florida to do it because no one was doing it in Pennsylvania at the time. Did the laparoscopic prostatectomy, and it came back, and I've been cancer-free ever since. This last year is 20 years of me being cancer-free.
Awesome.
PSA's been zeros all the way through it. So I understand what early detection will do, or catching it soon enough. A lot of us, we don't understand it enough. We have men, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 to 70% of men still won't get checked because they don't understand. They don't have the whole story. Okay. And so with me, I started a foundation for prostate cancer in Pennsylvania. Myself and a couple other men started a foundation in the Pittsburgh area. It's kind of dormant now because our leadership, 3 of our guys have passed away since. And then I moved away. And so I began to work with a company called Color. It's a genetic company, and been a spokesperson for them for 3 cancers, which is breast cancer awareness, prostate cancer awareness, and also colorectal cancer awareness. And since then, since after I ended up with prostate cancer, all my brothers and all 8 of us ended up with prostate cancer. And the way we learn, share another story with you. Nobody knows this because I never hardly ever shared this with anybody because because I never met the guy. Okay, but Nat King Cole's father and my grandfather were brothers. Nat King Cole was 45 years old when he ended up passing because of lung cancer, because he smoked. My dad smoked too. But through our research, we found out, because doctors will share with you that 45 years old, even if you smoked, I don't care how much you smoked, that cancer don't get you until you're in the 60s.
You're going to say it's starting the prostate, aren't you?
Starting this prostate.
Wow.
And then, because my grandfather, we knew passed away because of some form of cancer. And my father had several brothers that passed away because of some form of cancer. And that led from my dad going back up the family tree, kind of led to just a strong genetic.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for what you're doing. And if somebody watching this thinks they need to get tested, absolutely get tested.
When we talk about family history, what people don't understand, Now, if you believe that some big bang happened and all of a sudden you start walking around, we got human beings start walking around, they go ahead and believe that. We all came from a family tree somewhere. And so we're all genetically close.
Yeah.
Okay. And, people can believe whatever they want to believe. I believe that we all. And that's why when people are testing genetics in Africa and testing them in China, they can find some that are so close to one another. They say it's the fact that we all came from the same. So somewhere up the family tree, we have these things going on. And that's why we end up with so many people sick and dealing with a lot of things that aren't there.
Well, if you think you have any genetic predisposition, learn what a PSA is, learn what a Gleason score is, and get tested. That's absolutely for certain. Okay, so what I thought for a final topic is, you've already shared a few things, but as you look back into your mental glossary of your favorite moments, your favorite people, the things that stand out for you from your 4 years at the University of New Mexico, what would be a couple of other things that you love to share with the fans? Now that you're part of the Hall of Honor, one of just 7 honored that way, you go on to a Pro Bowl, all-pro career in the National Football League with 2 Super Bowl trophies. What are some of the memories that stand out for you from your time when you were University of New Mexico Lobo?
This is where it started. It was just so funny. For me, it started here, and as a young man back in the day, when we first came here to play football, we reported to camp, and 65 of us received full scholarships, and we were all in a room together over at the stadium, and it was going to be press day. So the media, we all were sitting at tables, and the press guys, they would be standing around, and then they went from table to table to table, talking to all the guys, interviewing some of the guys from Walt, and I'm looking at all. I'm just sit there and look at, I said, man, that's a big guy, man, big offensive lineman. Maybe one day, 4 years, man, we could, compete for a championship or something like that. I mean, we can if we all get trained, but not knowing that their thinking wasn't like mine, because I was willing to give it all. Okay, they sounded like they were willing to give it all, but every year, half of them quit. By the time we got to the senior year, we were down to 20, I think it was. But we were all in this room, and we were talking, and the guys were talking, and I'm sitting at this table over here, and in a corner here, and talking to a couple of the players, and I didn't really know anybody then. We were all young, and it was started to dissipate. It started, people started leaving, and people started. Some of the writers started to leave, and the guys were laughing there. Everybody I just observed everything that was going on the whole time that was there, and now it's time, I get up and say, well, everybody's leaving, so I stand up. I said, I guess nobody needs to talk to me about anything, so I stood up and started to leave. And one reporter was walking by. He looked around and he said, I said, hi. He said, hi, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fine. He said, what's your name? I said, my name's Robin Cole. He said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Compton, California. He said, what do you think about all this? I said, oh, well, man, this is pretty nice. The guys get a chance to share information about where they're from and the schools they went to, and you can, you guys write some things up about them. I said, this is really good. This is really nice. I really enjoy this. He says, he said, well, what are you planning to do here? I said, well, I'm a golfer for the football team, and we're all going football players. I said, he said, you have any goals? I said, yeah, I want to play varsity football. He said, varsity football? Are you just a freshman? You don't know varsity football. You don't play no varsity football around here. No freshman be playing varsity football around here. So I said, yeah, but that's my goal. You asked me about my goal. I don't know what I'm going to do around here. It's going to be up to the coaches, okay? But that's my goal. He said, well, what else you have to go? I said, well, I kind of set a goal. I'm 17 years old now. I kind of set a goal to maybe I can be one of the first All-Americans to play from here. He said, wait a minute. And he went and grabbed two more writers, and they came back. And we started talking. The paper that came out, or it was 2 days, maybe it was Sunday. The paper that came out, I was the one talking. I mean, it was just. I said, wait a minute. They didn't put it. What about all this guy? Like I said, all this. The guys the guys bought the newspaper and said, Robin, you're the only one talking in here. I said, he said, I didn't see you talking to anybody. I said, I was just talking to this guy. And this guy started asking me about my goals. And I just had goals and talking about this. I'm the first All-American, man. I want to be the first guy, the first round draft pick. I said, I'm going to be a first round draft pick out of this place. And once I said it, that was it. You got to make it happen, okay? And everything from that point was making it happen.
Let me follow up and ask you about a couple of guys, and then we'll wrap up. You already mentioned Frederick, who went to the league. Yeah. Another teammate here, DB, Randy Rich. He went to the league as well. Oh, shoot. You had a quarterback, Noel Mazzoni. He ended up on to be a great offensive coordinator.
Coach.
Yeah.
Great coach.
Some great teammates, huh?
Yes. We ended up a lot of, I really tell you the truth, a lot of guys. And a lot of guys who went to the school that would love to have had come back. At one time wanted to come here and be a head coach. I thought maybe he would get the opportunity to do that when just didn't happen. We have a lot of guys, and even though guys that didn't make it as far as the sports is concerned, it's had successful in other careers, a lot of guys. But it's such a small number of us, and we didn't make it to the big time, and as far as the university was concerned, that we still have so much love for one another. A brotherhood, fellowshipping. A lot of times we don't get a chance to catch up with one another. Okay, and part of that has to do with our where we are, our university too, pulling us together and pulling us back together. This is happening all over the world. This is not just happening. This is happening with colleges that just started 5 years ago. Okay, they understand that. We over the years have been, for some reason, susceptible to some things that have happened over the years that just haven't been able to pull us together the way we need to be pulled together. Before I'm gone from this life, I hope one day we can do that. Okay, because I run into my brothers. I get calls from people. Hey, Robin, I found you on Facebook, man. What are you doing? Because we feel the same way, or rather, we live together. Okay, we went through we went through the same things that any other championship team would go through. We just maybe didn't get the championship or even play for the championship, but we went through all of those same things. Okay, and there's nothing to look down on. Every one of those players were great people and are still great people. The ones that are still around here, great people, and we did something that not everybody does. We played a game called football, and not everybody's willing to do that and play that game. And those guys, I love every single one of them. And I love the people that I went to school with, not only the guys, but even the males and the females, the women and the men that went to school at University of New Mexico. And it sits right here at the top of my heart. How can I extend myself to help do something? I'm not a multimillionaire, so I don't have those kinds of dollars to do that, but I have me. And before the money comes, the people come. Because you have to see it before you can be it, and you have to be it before you can have. Okay? And that is what still today I understand how the vision of the dream, how it all works and how it comes together, because that's all I've ever stood on.
Well, thank you for being a Lobo. Congratulations on your induction into the Ring of Honor.
I appreciate it.
And this has been a real privilege.
I'm aware with pride.
Robin Cole, our guest on the Lobo Pod, presented by Green Summit Landscape Management.
The Lobo Pod is a production of UNM Athletics.